Καλησπέρα, γεια σας. So yesterday we had a live talk with. Okay, now it's better. Great.
Okay.
Perfect. So yesterday we have a great live talk session with Kyros Asfis, and you also joined our live talk, and we have a great discussion regarding tourism and hospitality in these hard times of crisis. And many of the people that they were watching us yesterday have requested to do this Q&A session in order to receive your insight and about the situation that we're all living.
I think I'd like to say hello to everybody, and I can see a lot of colleagues and friends from all over the world actually joining us. I think a lot of conversation is happening right now, and a lot of people are quite desperate for answers that we do not have. And that's really, really complicated because we are in uncharted waters. We don't know where we are going, and we just have to be smart and look into all the critical aspects and all the critical information that is becoming available gradually, in order to be able to make some inferences and understand where we are going to be going as an industry and what's the best way of taking things forward. I don't have the questions in front of me, Vivian, so if you can repeat them, we can go through and we can have a discussion.
I'm starting with one of the most general ones that we have received yesterday. Would you agree that Greece has built a great brand for the future?
I'm one of these marketeers that don't believe in brands. What is a brand? Brand is the last promise that we have fulfilled. I think Greece is an incredible product. It's an incredible experience. It's an incredible destination. And I think, as far as if this is what you call brand, yes, I think Greece is quite advanced. But every single day, every single tourist who is going through the borders, everybody who is coming through our hotel doors, they'll need to be able to experience what we've promised, and that is the best branding for me.
Okay, great. Also, I think we have yesterday that discussion, and I would totally agree with you. So the next one is also for hospitality industry. In terms of strategies by hotels, how important the pricing structure will be?
Well, right now, I think strategy for hospitality is really, really critical. So we need to understand who is our customer, why they're coming, what they do while they're there, what's their motivation, what's the competition, who else is out there, and what are they doing. Pricing is one of these. Pricing is one of those things, and it's actually quite tricky and very, very difficult. And it's very difficult because pricing is influenced by a whole range of different things. And one of the pieces of research that we're doing currently in Bournemouth University is personalized pricing. Not how much I would like to charge someone, but how much is someone willing to pay for my products. Now, traditionally in Greece, we haven't been very good with pricing. Traditionally, especially in the 12 months hotels, the ones that they're operating throughout the year, tradition has been, let me see my neighbor, what my neighbor is charging, and I'll charge accordingly. There are very few people who are really taking control of their pricing, and they're managing their pricing properly. As far as regional and seaside resorts are concerned, we're very often over relying on tour operators and the pricing that they are willing to give us. So tour operator contractor is coming along and says, this is the pricing I'm willing to give you. And quite often the hotelier just signed the contract. There are very few hotels around in Greece in particular that they've got a strong pricing policy. Now, it all depends on a whole range of different things. It depends on who are your customers, where they're coming from, what distribution channel do they use, and how can you actually manage that. And I think increasingly we need to be much more strategic with pricing.
Okay, That's very useful. So also for hospitality, we have small family businesses with specific royal clients. So do you believe that they should change the target market in order to survive to maybe domestic tourists, or should they postpone opening until July? So in one, we have three different sub-questions.
Okay, let's start from the beginning. When should we open? I think for the time being, the government will determine when we will be able to open. And that will be determined based on what the virus is going to do to Greece. So after the virus stops spreading and everything, the situation is under control, the government is quite keen that we all go back to work and we start working again. So the first issue is, when are we going to be allowed to go out, and when the companies and when the organizations will be allowed to actually start business. That's the first thing. The second thing is whether it will be viable for us to open, because the timing of the virus is different. So the UK government has announced that they expect the peak of the virus to be on the middle of June. Now, if that is the situation, you've got a hotel that has got all the customers coming from the UK, it will be quite difficult to open and operate with British customers. It may be from other markets that they'll be in a situation to open and operate with other markets, domestic or wherever. So what I'm saying is that I don't think anybody knows when we are going to be able to open. And I think what we need to do is we need to be very, very smart and observe every day what's happening. I'm watching Professor Theodras every day at 6 o'clock, and I understand from what he says where we are in this kind of continuum. So the first thing is, when can we open? The second thing is when our markets will be able to travel to us, because a couple of days ago, British Airways made 36,000 people go through furlough, which means they are not going to be paid for a period of time. That means that they cannot see opening up anytime soon. Equally, TUI in the UK has put 11,000 employees through this process. And again, that is giving me an indication that we're not going to be opening sometime soon.
And this is also only in the UK. We don't know what is going to happen with Spain and the other countries that are following.
Well, Spain and Italy are ahead on the curve of the virus, as we've seen from their really, really difficult the rate of death and how many people are contracting the virus. But they are ahead of the UK, ahead of the US, ahead of Sweden, ahead of France, ahead of Belgium. So if you watch, I keep watching the Financial Times specialized page on the virus, and I keep watching a whole range of indicators out there. Primarily, there are three indicators. So if people would like to look at things, they really need to look at ft.com/coronavirus. Then the other one is in the United States. It's the COVID global cases by the Center for Systems of Science and Engineering. And the third one is the worldmeters.info/coronavirus. Those are the three indicators that they summarize everything. They are summarizing everything. So I can see, for example, today in the US, you've got 320,000 people who are confirmed with coronavirus. And you can see Spain is after that, Italy is after that, Germany is after that, France is after that, China is after that, Iran, and then UK. UK has got almost 50,000 people who are affected by that. So depending on where it is on the curve, it will determine when people will be coming back to normality, whatever the new normality is, because the new normality will be very different from what we knew before.
And we are all wondering how it's going to be this next day. And
there was one hidden question about the small businesses and the loyal clientele. I think
clients,
I think the small businesses are much stronger than the larger ones because they are primarily family businesses and they operate with family members, unpaid family members, but they're still family members, and they're much more flexible to open or close because they're smaller. If you want to open a hotel with 300 and 500 rooms, it takes a lot of time to actually prepare the opening. If you are a small hotel with 20, 30, 40 rooms, it's a little bit much easier. And also it's much more flexible in terms of human resource. How many people are you going to have to operate, and when do you need to employ these people? So small businesses are in a better position almost than the large businesses. And from what I hear from various colleagues and friends, a lot of the larger organizations in Greece consider not to open at all this year. So I know that this is not the news that you would like to hear, but I hear from colleagues and friends that a lot of organizations, larger hotel groups, are thinking of not opening, because if it gets, it's not worthwhile to operate for a month or so. So it may be smaller companies may take the bulk of the tourism activity this year. If we have a tourism activity, we assume that the planes are going to come back and they'll be flying. We don't know that yet.
Okay, I have a question here in the comments that it is related in what we are discussing now. So this question talks about should its destination focused on domestic tourism, is something that you have already answered, and not incoming one in the near future. And on these terms, should the prices adjust on domestic salaries?
Well, I think domestic tourism will be, and what we call staycation, is going to dominate a lot of countries in a lot of different places. In the UK, I guess places like Bournemouth, the New Forest, Brighton, which are effectively a couple of hours of drive or train from London, they'll be much more attractive for people, especially if they've lost their jobs or if they've lost family members. If family members have actually died. So it depends where you are, because everything it's context dependent. Some organizations will be able to invite the domestic market and operate with the domestic market. In Greece, we've got a problem with that. We've got a problem because most of the domestic market is VFR, visiting friends, relatives. People are going to their village, they stay with their friends, their mothers, their brothers, and they stay for free. Few people are actually traveling to go on a proper holiday. So that's one issue. The second issue is with but I guess if we get out of this by June, end of May, June, I guess a lot of people will be desperate to go out and have some fresh air. And I think domestic market will actually take some of the supply. Pricing, yes, it will have to be adjusted. A lot of people do not work. A lot of people are having huge issues right now, and electricians, hairdressers, that those people will not have the means to actually travel. And I think that's another issue, not only in Greece but everywhere.
Okay, great. Thank you for this insight. We have different kind of questions. I'm trying to receive everything. So another one is about do you think that after the outbreak, declines and situations become normal, tourism to China and from China will be viewed in a negative way?
I think it's a big issue with China, and we've experienced already prejudice against Chinese colleagues and people and travelers. And that has actually created violence in some places, and especially in the UK. I think China will suffer for a while in terms of its image, and I think China will do quite a lot of effort to make sure that that provides humanitarian aid to many countries, so it can kind of recover some of that. I don't see Chinese traveling for a while outside outside China,
Outside.
and partly because the government wouldn't really like them to do so, and the government controls outbound from China. I don't expect them to be willing to travel, and I guess what's going to happen is that a lot of Chinese travel will be redirected domestically, especially in places that they've suffered a lot. So the money that is supposed to go out of the country is going to go interregional in different places to keep some of the money inside because of the recession that China is actually facing. China growth is declining rapidly, and because of that, the Chinese government will reassign income and expenditure domestically.
Okay, I understand. What about tourism activity in the Aegean, Ionian Islands, and Crete? Is staycationing, vehicle tourism, domestic tourism going to affect them more than the rest of Greece?
I think anything that requires an airplane may have a major impact this year, and I really feel for the airlines. The IATA is keep bringing out information about airlines, how many airlines are going to survive and how many airlines are not going to survive because of the virus. So islands, I think they'll have a little bit more difficulty this year than other places. Having said that, Greece is doing fantastically well so far in terms of how the virus is not spreading so fast. And I think the situation will be that we'll be out of that faster than a lot of other countries. Having said that, when you listen to what Professor Chodras is saying and and all the government officials, they really don't want to spread the virus on islands which do not have very strong health infrastructure. For those of you who have been to the hospital in Santorini or in the hospital in Kos, they know exactly what I mean. So we need to take care.
I can agree with that. Yes.
We really need to take care of our health professions. We really need to take care of our health facilities, rebuild a lot of the things, make sure that they are becoming at the level where they can actually deal with a lot of those issues. And before we open up to a lot of people, because I mean, you've seen what happened in Ikaria, you've seen what happened in many different islands. It only takes one person to actually spread the virus really, really badly. And I think for the time being, we need to concentrate on human life and saving human life.
I totally agree with you. And I think all the Greek people that, I don't want to talk about the foreign ones, that have experience in an island to visit the hospital, they would understand your point at that moment. So based on that, we have many questions that are wondering what is going to be the next day, the new normality. And we have also another question where we have, if we found a vaccine, and are we going to travel then? We will start traveling. So is this going to be a new normality?
I'm not sure I understood the question.
We have two. Some of our audience are asking if we're going to, what is going to be the new normality after coronavirus is stopped, the outbreak. And the second one is that if we have found a vaccine, if we have discovered a vaccine,
No,
yes.
I cannot answer any medical questions. It's not my field, and I like to talk about things that I know. But as far as I know, I follow two people. I follow Professor Theodorus and I follow Professor Mosyamus in the London School of Economics. From what they say, who are experts on the field, it will take about 18 months to get a new vaccine. I think for the time being, what they're trying to do is they're trying to find a cure, a medicine that's going to cure the virus. And that will come a little bit faster. I think in about 6 months or something, they're testing different things. But I'm not qualified to talk about these things. What is the new normal? Who knows? It's really, really complicated to understand what's the new normal. But I think that there are some things that we need really to think about. First of all, overcrowding may not actually be allowed for a while. If we continue social distancing up to a certain point, it will be quite difficult to allow scenes that they're overcrowding in different places. That's one thing. The second thing is, I think we may need to change the way we serve food, for example, and how we allow people to actually do things. I was speaking to John Fortis, some of you will know, in Rhodes, and he was saying, do you think the tourists are going to go back to buffet and they'll use the same spoons and the same utensils to actually serve themselves? Or are we going to have a whole range of new different procedures to improve hygiene and make sure that nothing is spreading? I think there's a lot of issues that operationally we need to change, and we need to start preparing because the virus is not going to go away, right? The virus is going to have 2 and 3 waves from what the experts are saying. So therefore, in the meanwhile, we really need to make sure that we are in a position to have much better sanitation, cleaning much more frequently, probably turn back to plated food and half board rather than all inclusive, where you've got a lot of buffets staying there for a long time. There'll be a lot of issues, and I think we will learn together as we go. I think for those of you who really want to look at that, they'll need to look into what happened in SARS in 2009. And I think if you look back what happened with SARS, that may drive us into the new future.
Yes. Also, yesterday we were talking about the hygiene and housekeeping and the operations of the hotels should they should change, of course, after coronavirus. Another question is about rates in 2021 can't be the same as 2020, considering the impact of the crisis in the pockets of our clients. What is your opinion?
Well, let me say something about the processes. Now we can see in China that they've opened again slowly. They're keeping social distancing. So I keep looking in Chengdu, where I've got friends. I've got friends in different places, and I spent most of October in China. And what you find is that what they've done in Starbucks, for example, is they've taken half of the seats away, and they've taken the tables far away, so they can reduce the spread of the virus. That is part of the procedure. So we may actually start operating buses, airplanes, and a lot of other places with much less capacity than the normal capacity we operate. So that's on the overcrowding. As far as the rate is concerned, God knows. I think we're getting to a situation where we need to see what are the conditions are after coronavirus. How many tour operators will survive? How many airlines are going to survive? How many hotels will survive? And what is how our customers will be able to spend? And again, it depends. If you're a high-end facility that is charging a very high prices for people that they are not affected immediately from the virus, you may be able to continue. But if your clientele is coming from working people that they haven't managed to work for a while, or because they have been locked in their homes for 2 or 3 months, you may actually do compassion pricing and bring people in at a much lower price. The question is then your costs. can you produce experiences with a reduced capacity at a lower cost to be able to be profitable? That's quite complicated, because imagine that if you've got
I
a hotel
understand
with,
your point,
with
totally.
100, yeah, it's quite complicated and nobody knows.
It's difficult, I think. You should be very agile and smart and
Exactly.
very precise in the cost allocation, the budget allocation in order to do this. And this is a challenge, I think, for every
And it will
hotel
be a
owner.
challenge for everybody. It's the first
Yes,
challenge for the hoteliers. The next challenge
yes.
is for the suppliers of the hoteliers. People like yourself, or the fishermen, the people who are bringing, the
Of
bread,
course.
the fruit, and everything that we use. The major issue is about our employees, and a lot of employees will be unemployed this year. And I think we really, as a society, we need to look after that and see what we can do and how we can take care of them. I think everything changes, and I think it's a catastrophe beyond belief. Having said that, because I normally say negative things and people are kind of saying, can you please give us something optimistic? I'm afraid not. But what I've put on my blog is, I start from the 3rd of March, and I keep calling brace, brace, brace. Brace, 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 what we call on a plane when plane crashes. No, I don't know of any planes that they would like to crash. But
I understand.
if a plane is about to crash, a good pilot is trying really, really hard to make sure that the impact is the minimal one, both for the people on board and on the people on the ground. And I really admire Captain Sully, the guy who got the plane landed, or in fact watered, on Hudson River in New York some years back. And I put an interview that he has done on my blog, because he really talks about how trained he was and how calculated he was to make sure that everybody on board was safe.
Yes.
He didn't spend. In the interview they are talking about, did you pray? Did you think of your family? Did you think about what you can lose? And it's absolutely unbelievable to see how focused he was on the target he had. He had 210 seconds to get the plane safely on water. And then the journalist saying, did you celebrate after you got the plane safe? He said, no. I then had to get my passengers out of the plane into safety. He celebrated when the last passenger, who was himself, was in safety. And I think the reason why I've been going out on blogs and I've done the Buhalis rapid communication is because if we understand the magnitude of the problem and we understand what's going to happen, then we just have enough time to actually start preparing about it and see what we can do on the next day. Whether this season is going to happen or not, it's a question mark. But if you start looking to scenarios, a lot of people were thinking, okay, we will open beginning of May and everything will be fine. And actually, this was a super optimistic one.
This is a joke, I think. Okay.
It's a utopian, but back in March, let me take you back on the 3rd of March. We were talking about why we didn't do it at Berlin. A lot of people were really, really angry why Berlin was cancelled.
I know.
It's only a month ago.
I know.
Okay. It looks like a year. But okay, if the super optimistic scenario was we open in May, then there was an optimistic scenario that we open in June. I came back on the 26th of March and I said we're going to open in July. And on the 1st of April, I came back and I said, guys, it's very likely that we're not going to have a season this year. Or at least definitely we're not going to have a season as we know it.
Yes, I understand. And thank you for sharing with us. Even if it's pessimistic, it's the truth, it's the reality. And we cannot just dreaming. We should take into consideration what is happening and react to what we have now. So we have many questions coming. I will start with the previous one. So do you believe that tourism services will focus on isolation and privacy, replacing social outgoing and co-creating activities?
I think depending on what's going to happen with the virus, I think we're going to have less crowded places. And I think people will be cautious. I mean, if you go around for a walk now, people are looking at you and they're trying to keep the 2 or 3 meters. They kind of look at you like an enemy that you can actually pass the virus to them. I've been in some bars in Kos, in Mykonos, in Rhodes that the only thing that we didn't have was social distancing. We had social closeness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to be away from that for a while.
Okay. We have another one because I'm afraid that Instagram will not allow us to continue. We have only 60 minutes. That's why I'm taking more quickly. And I'm receiving continuously questions. If people start to travel, will the host organization be able to serve the incoming tourism, considering the fact that most of them closed in March, where they started to prepare for the season?
Well, I asked someone very important in Greece on the 17th of February
Mm-hmm.
if they had a very precise procedure. What's going to happen if someone with coronavirus arrives in a reception and say, "Hi guys, I've got fever, I'm coughing, and I don't feel very well." What's going to happen next?
Of course.
And of course, and I asked two very important people. One was operating at that time, and the other one had the seasonal hotel and did it.
Mm-hmm.
And they both look at me with surprise. So we really need to start thinking about process and procedures. We don't have that. I said to them, do you have a spare room that you can isolate people very quickly? Do you have a doctor who will give them advice? Who is going to take them to the hospital and how? A lot of those questions, they are part of process and procedures. And I think we need to address them very, very quickly. And we need to start looking at that. I can see some of the questions where people are asking for more information on the links I'm following.
Yes.
I think they really need to look at my blog and the Rapid Buhalis communication because all the links are there.
Of course.
And I've got a lot of links from Hong Kong because Hong Kong is very advanced in those things because they had to deal with SARS before.
Mm-hmm.
I think the two countries that are really advanced with these things is Hong Kong and Taiwan. And if you look at what their government has done to their hotels, you'll understand what we need to do. And of course, the Hong Kong document is 83 pages. So I sent around some of my friends, my hoteliers say, can you summarize them, give us 2 pages? No,
Yes.
I cannot. It's 83 pages and we need to learn to deal with that until it's until we're in a position that everybody is safe and out of this situation, we have got to deal with it.
Okay. Well, I have many different questions. I'm trying to combine some of them. So we have, since we are not going to have a proper season that will be the right, which is going to be the right marketing strategy to try to replace the losses. There are provision in most of the hotels for that. And also somebody else asked if virtual reality is going to benefit the hotels during isolation.
There are many questions in there. So
I know. I'm
so,
just,
okay.
Reading them.
Okay.
There are so many, but we have to answer.
Okay, let's go back. No airline would like to lose a plane. So if a plane is going to crash, they're going to lose a plane, right? So we are going to have loss. And people need to start realizing that. And we're going to have severe loss.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is how can we reduce the loss that we have? And to reduce the loss that we have, we need to be smart and we need to look into continuously what's happening and to be ready to react to the opportunities that they may come to us. The realistic scenario is that we're going to have a very little opportunity to recover some of the costs. So, and the pessimistic scenario is that we're not going to be open, we're not going to have anything from the summer season this year. It's a possibility. Now, what each organization needs to do depends on the organization. Depends how big they are, who they employ, what's happening with them, everything else. Where are they? If they're close to big city centers, for example, Halkidiki may actually benefit because people may get on a car and drive there in an hour and a half, and benefit from Thessaloniki
Yes.
or from Balkan countries. Depends where you are and depends what kind of product you have got. The second issue is about virtual reality. Virtual reality and communication in general, it's a very good way of communicating to our customer and say, hi, we are all in this together. We appreciate how difficult it is for you. It's equally very difficult for us. Please don't forget us. Please be safe. Please stay home. Here's something to dream. I've seen Aegean Airlines, they keep dreaming. I've seen the campaign of the Greek National Tourism Organization.
It's from home.
And I've seen the Portuguese, which I really, really like, and the Scottish campaign that just came out that says, look, guys, we'll be here, we'll be waiting for you. We understand that you're not going to be in a position to come. They're all on my blog. You can have a look, and you can see how targeted they are and how wonderful they are. I think expecting people to be in the mood of thinking about travel in this particular moment is actually unrealistic. People are waiting outside supermarkets for a long time to be able to get food. They cannot find pasta, for example. Macaroni has disappeared.
Yes.
They cannot find a cleaning material. So they've got survival in their mind. They've got their kids at home, and probably the kids are not going to go back to school until September. So they are having major problems. They're probably fighting with their partners because not everybody has got a very big house and they can isolate and all the rest of it. We're probably going to have awfully lot of divorces at the end of this period. The situation will be quite dramatic for everybody. And I think a lot of the Greek hoteliers, I can see they kind of trying to say, okay, oh my God, that's really problematic. Yes, it will be problematic, but I think the faster we have got, the sooner we realize, the faster we can get into action, and the better it is. Captain Sully had 210 seconds. I think we've got 30 to 45 days to actually realize what's happening and readjust what we have. And let me repeat what we've got, because I know that there are a lot of hoteliers in here. The first thing is really look at liquidity, talk to the banks and say, look, this is a situation. Nobody's in a better situation. It's not my fault, but we really need to look into that. The government is doing a whole range of new initiatives, and I know that it's lobbied very, very hard to actually freeze a lot of the things. The second thing is really humanitarian work with our personnel, our staff. Make sure that our staff do not suffer. Make sure that those who have actually helped us for so long, they can still be with us. Talking to our customers continuously and explaining to them our sympathy and where they are, especially those customers from Italy, from Spain, from France. Increasingly, you'll see in a couple of weeks, we're going to have a very, very difficult situation in the UK. The British market will be really, really severely damaged. Germany is going up as well, but Germany has got better health system, and I think there'll be less deaths in Germany. France is doing really, really bad. So depending on where people are coming from, we really need to give them our sympathy and engage with them in a sympathetic way and say, look, we'll be here. Make sure that you survive.
Some people are asking how digital marketing is going to be affected.
Well, digital marketing is critical, and social media marketing and communication is absolutely critical for the time being, because we really need to communicate with our customers and express our solidarity and our humanity. Digital marketing it's part of a very comprehensive strategy that we really need to have, and most of the Greek tourism enterprises do not have. But I think it's about time we start changing. And actually, a lot of the hoteliers that they're staying at home, instead of watching television and seeing all the bad news, I think they should study some of the material out there and start improving what they are doing and engaging with those techniques. There's a lot of material out there, and it's actually free of charge.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff on my website on buhalis.com in terms of presentations, in terms of publications. People can download and read this stuff, understand what they should do. And I said recently on the open tourism that most of the Greek hoteliers do not understand marketing, and I think that is really critical. That we need to be marketeers. We need to be much better in marketing than we are. And that doesn't mean that we go out and we spend a lot of money on marketeers and a lot of other places. But actually it is incredibly resources that we've got to educate ourselves. And I just saw here a friend from Lesotho in Africa that is watching. And that is the beauty of the digital marketing, and congratulations from the We Are Together. All the way from Lesotho. Hello, Lesotho.
Hello to everyone. There are people from Kos, Corfu, Malta. Hello to Lesotho. I wish I can visit Lesotho one day. And we have some interesting questions. Authentic Greece is asking if this is a social problem beyond the sector. So the whole question is, most people just wait for this to pass and have their lives back. Is it possible to act as a professional otherwise? Isn't it mostly as a social problem beyond the sector?
I think for the time being, it's a health problem. It's a health crisis. I think the next thing that's coming is an economic crisis and a societal crisis. And I think it's really beyond belief. I've never seen anything like that, and I don't think anybody who hasn't experienced the Second World War has seen anything like that. This is the Third World War, and will create a whole range of implications. But for the time being, I think we really need to focus on the health issues. I think the most important thing is to support the health professionals, stay at home and make sure that your health system is supported. Make sure that you donate blood. So people will need blood. So make sure that you donate blood in your local in your local hospitals. It's really critical that we support the health professionals by giving them anything they need. They may need food, they may need drink, they may need childcare, they may need to look after their parents. Take their pressure away from them who are critically ill in hospital. We need to use our rent-a-car companies. We need to use our airlines. We need to use all these facilities that we've got to make sure that we are supporting the health system for the time being. Money will find again. Money will rebuild.
Yes.
And I think it's really critical. I think for the time being, it's a humanitarian crisis. I see a lot of companies that they're doing that. They are cooking meals. I see how many volunteers are in the UK. One of my staff, one of my colleagues in Bournemouth University has gone to, who is a chef. He went to the local hospital and he is helping the local hospital with the food production. So it's all about these little acts of kindness that we need to do in this particular moment. Don't think about money all the time. This year money will be difficult. We will crash. The question is, how can we crash with a meaning impact for us and our people around? And I think the humanitarian issue will be really, really critical. We need to look after people, and we need to look after people, especially on those that they are in critical conditions or those who are critical workers for the system.
Okay. Regarding the hoteliers, do you believe that they will decrease the OTA percentage in their sales mix? And will hoteliers after this crisis rely on building their direct sales channels?
How long have we got for this?
I don't know. I think
How long have you got? How long have you got left? Okay, OTAs is quite complicated.
We have started around, I think, 9 past 40. Maybe we have 15 minutes.
Okay, good. Look, distribution is something that's really, really complicated. And I've worked for 30 years on distribution. Subject of my PhD, and I've really, that's my area. Distribution is part of a marketing strategy. and you really need to understand who is your customer and where your customer is coming from. I've spent all my life trying to bring customers directly to hotels. That's quite difficult, actually, especially in some places where you don't have airlift. Airlift is critical. If you don't have airlines that are flying frequently, and if the tour operators are controlling airlines, then you have got to work with tour operators. So tour operators is the biggest issue. It's not the OTAs. The OTAs, a lot of people are against booking right now because booking had pre-bookings, non-refundable pre-bookings, and they forced them to cancel those bookings, and they don't want to return the money back. I don't think we've got a situation yet where all that the tour operators have actually cancelled reservations. This will be much more critical for Greece. Now, depending on where you are and how you are, you really need to increase your direct clientele. The clientele, you really need to work with relationships, and you really need to develop your direct clientele and operate directly with the customers who choose to come to you. And we had the question early on from the small business and the loyal clientele. This is exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to get repeat customers who are coming to us only to us with direct bookings. If you see what's happening with OTAs are charging 25% more or less, between 15 and 25%. So one fourth or 1/5 of the revenue is going directly to distribution without doing much. Having said that, it will be much more difficult to operate without the OTAs.
Okay.
If you look into the tour operators are charging about 50% of the revenue. And again, a lot of organizations will not be able to operate without tour operators. There is no a magic solution for everybody. Everybody will need to develop their own strategy and see which are their distribution channels, and see how their distribution channels maximize their revenue and their RevPAR as well. Revenue per available room, but also that includes all the other facilities that you've got in the hotel. Okay, so it's much more complicated than say that and how to do it, and you cannot do it. You cannot say everybody will need to do that. You really need to understand your particular situation.
So you have to review the strategy, the sales strategy and everything, and the metrics, and make a more in-depth analysis regarding the situation.
In the first place, you need to have a strategy. Most of the hotels I know in Greece, they don't have a strategy.
Yes.
What they do is they just sign contracts with anybody who knocks on. No, the OTAs are actually much less harming than tour operators. Okay, because with the OTAs you have got availability. You can open, you can close availability, you can do a stop sale. It's not a big problem. Normally, most of the hotels they've got a contract or several contracts with several tour operators, and that is that is their distribution strategy. The OTA is business to be. It's every business is kind of unique in a way, and in fact you accept or not accept every booking.
Yes.
So OTAs are incremental, and most of the businesses I know, they've got a really bad website which has got all the rack rates, all the most expensive prices on there. And they don't have a reservations department to actually come forward and deal with reservations when they're coming through. And therefore, guess what? They've got to depend on the intermediaries. I think we really need to learn from this, and we really need to understand how we can go to the next stage and how we can take care of our business.
Yes, this is really important, and we should all take it into consideration, all the businesses, I think. Hello to Agistri, Albania, Chania, Argos, Chalkidiki. Hello, Konstantinos Venetopoulos from Sari, Marketing Master. I think this is your students. And I see a comment. Hello, Professor. Do you remember me? Really miss you. So this is a very nice comment. We have another question from Dimitra, who is asking about opportunities. So she writes, communication-wise, apart from the Greece from Home campaign, which personally I believe is an interesting opportunity. Do you believe there are opportunities in businesses that can work on?
Of course, I think it's really critical, and I've put some of examples on my blog as well, so you can have a look. But if you have got international clientele, you can put a little video, so you can put a little communication talking about your place, where it is, Kos, and why Kos is beautiful, and actually play some of the videos that your customers have left, or share some of the information that's publicly available on YouTube or in different domains. I think a lot of kids are at home and they're looking for something to entertain themselves. Give something to the parents to actually play with their kids. Make them dream. Make them think about something else. Put yourself to create a recipe and make sure that they cook at home. And say, okay, you cannot eat Greek food in Greece, but cook Greek food in Holland and prepare to come to Greece and have Greek food. So communication is everything, and making sure that we are next to all of our clients. Make sure that you do not overdo them, though, because they are really struggling for survival. They're really looking into how they're going to go in their groceries and how they're going to do, how they're going to stay safe. But give them enough to engage with you if they want to. There's an issue about canceling holidays and what's happening. Don't ask them if they're going to cancel holidays. They don't know. Don't ask them to change holidays. They don't know when they change for. Don't ask them to save tourism. Don't ask them to save tourism. Ask them to save people. Nobody cares if they'll save tourism for this moment. Tell them what you do to save people. Tell them what you do. Tell them that I went out and I cook for the elderly neighbors, and I distributed 400 meals because, and this is what you should be doing as well. I tell everybody, go and give blood. Ask your kids to give blood because you need young people to give blood. We are part of a health crisis. Let the industry raise to this occasion and showcase everybody how we are with society, helping society to overcome the health problem.
It's the time for social responsibility, I think. So we have 4 minutes left. I have another question from Amazing Villas in Crete. They are asking about if it's a good time to plan city branding for cities that don't have one.
I think it's a good time to do strategic marketing in general. And a lot of people, normally what people are finding the opportunity to sell something. So if they're selling branding, they say, oh, can I go out and sell branding? I think it's an opportunity for all the stakeholders to come together. I think it's an opportunity for everybody to come together, really strategically thinking about the next day, and actually create synergies between different people. And actually, marketing is not something that you really need to spend a lot of money on. It's really, I really like the Your Heroes campaign, #YourHeroes. Have a look what these guys have done. How many people have they collected, and how they're sharing amazing images from Kyros. I lived in Kyros for 4 years on my university year. I really want to go back in Kyros and discover some of the places that they are talking about.
I am half from Kyros, I have to say.
Perfect. So okay. Fantastic.
Yes.
Have a look on Your Kyros.
My grandfather was from
It's a bottom-up campaign, and absolutely incredible.
Okay. Great.
What Balog is going to do in Andros, for example. Just bring everybody to look forward in their communities and see how we're going to be able together.
Professor, we have 2 other questions. Real quickly, a small comment about Airbnb. Will this business model survive?
Have a look on Victoria is my student. So Victoria, have a look at my last paper. It's on my web page. It's called about the dark side of Airbnb. It says everything.
Okay, great. And also one more for a student. There are a lot of students who want to make practice during this summer. Is it possible to apply for summer jobs in tourism marketing? Any suggestions to in which companies can we apply? In which summer jobs? What's your feedback? I think it is good for summer jobs.
this year it's quite complicated, and I'm not sure whether students and employees are going to go, when they're going to go, and what they're going to do. And I hear people talking about, can I do a job on tourist marketing, please? I think we really need to get in there and put our sleeves up and start doing whatever is required. That's the best marketing. And once we understand that, then the next stage is going to be in how we can develop those things in the future. Some of my students are coming along and say, "Can I be managing director?" I said, "No. Do you know how to move a paramana? You know, the big disc." And I think we really need to start looking into what we can do this year to build the industry up and to do our humanitarian work and help everybody to come back into society. And then we're going to look after money, careers, and everything else that we've been concentrating in the past.
We have some seconds. I wanted to say thank you very much. Everything was very valuable and insightful. I think the audience has received a quite realistic your opinion about the situation, and of course they should visit your blog to read more.